Hi everyone, I'm Pat Prokop, Heavenly Backyard Astronomy. Right now, Saturn is at its best position for viewing. So what does it take to view the planets and to capture the planets and to process the images? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today on Heavenly Backyard Astronomy. We're going to talk about the telescope recommended for use, the camera recommended for use, and the capture software that I use to capture the planet Saturn. So let's capture the planets, and welcome to Heavenly Backyard Astronomy. Last night the sky was clear, but I was watching clouds moving on in, so it was a race to see if I could catch the planet Saturn before the clouds caught up with me. And to make a long story short, success. So I want to show you what I did and how I captured the planet Saturn from last night. And also, let's take a look at the past history of the rings of Saturn from the heavenly backyard. I've been taking pictures of Saturn since 2018, and I'm going to show you how those rings changed from edge on as they are right now to face on as they were back in 2018, and when to expect to see those changes once again. Also, another thing with this telescope here, it is a long focal length telescope, 2,800 millimeters. And the camera that I'm using is the Uranus C, that's player one, and it's a IMX 585 chip. So it has a pixel size of 2.9 microns. Now with a pixel size of 2.9 microns and this very long focal length of 2,800 millimeters, it is very difficult to plate solve. However, I have on here StarSense auto guider with the Celestron system, and since I cannot really plate solve with this camera and focal length, I let the StarSense auto guider plate solve for me and get to the planet. So let's see how all this works, and let's put it all together. So let's go inside and take a look at the procedure on the computer. All right, let's begin by going into CPWI and clicking on the position to go to Saturn. Since I mentioned earlier, plate solving doesn't work very well with this system set up with the camera and the long focal length, I rely on the StarSense auto guider to do the plate solving for me. And look at that, it did a pretty good job. It got Saturn in the field of view. So from here, I'm just going to let the system stabilize, and then I'm going to do some pan left and pan up to get the planet in its position where I want it, basically in the center field of view. Now, I'm in SharpCap 4 and SharpCap Pro 4 and 4.1.13502, whatever. But anyway, it has this device in here called live stacking. So we're going to be using that. But right now, let's get the planet centered in the field of view. And I'm going to turn on the guiding right now, and there it started. I'm not going to look at the guider graph, and letting the StarSense Auto Guider guide the system while I'm taking imaging. Okay, let's go back into the SharpCap Pro. There's the guiding. It's starting already, so that's very good. So going back into SharpCap and looking at the region of interest, I'm going to go from full screen down to 640 by 480, and that should give me a tighter view. So I have a higher frame rate with this region of interest. Instead of trying to stack the entire frame of well over 1,000 by a couple thousand, I'm down to 640 by 480. And I can go down to the smaller version yet, but I decided to go with the 640 by 480. Anyway, there's the planet right now in a live view. A little bit out of focus, so I'm going to play with the focuser just a little bit. This is where having an automatic focuser is very handy, because if you touch the telescope trying to focus it outside, it just bounces all over the place. With the automatic focuser, you can get a much easier focus. And that's what I'm doing right now. So let's play with the focus and get this thing in focus. It looks pretty focused right at the moment. You can see the bands in the atmosphere of Saturn. The rings are nearly edge on right now, just past the edge on. But not much in the view of the rings going on with Saturn in 2025. Okay, let's continue with this. Okay, let's click on the name Saturn, just to have it make sure it gets a title. We'll put on Saturn. Click on this little area right here. That's planet live stacking right there. And it has several features. And when it first starts, it has basically, it looks ugly, as a matter of fact. It looks like a planet with a pizza planet. Anyway, over the moment of frame adding, those blotches begin to disappear and the details begin to show. And it's almost like magic watching this thing perform its stacking. Right now, I'm only got 150 frames. I'm going for 5,000 to 7,000 frames, and I'm only stacking the best 25% of the frames at the time. And of course, with the atmosphere and so forth bouncing around, it's taking the best 25% of the frames and then adding them to the stack. I'm already up to 270. 280 and so forth and so on. Okay, so let's go through this and I'll come back later. There's the live view. There's the stack view. So far, only 389, almost 400 frames there. But you see how it's getting much cleaner. We've got a long way to go. Nice details on the rings, even though they're edge on. I prefer, of course, when they're face on, but you know, got to deal with it. Got to deal with. This is 2025, so we'll have to wait till like 2032 or 2031 before they're face on again. See, let's take a look at the winds aloft, because that's very important when you're doing any kind of astrophotography. You want light winds aloft. If you have a jet stream flowing overhead, that's going to cause the stars to twinkle and the planets to bounce around like crazy. Fortunately, tonight I have a very light wind aloft, and not showing much of any issues with the winds here. I'm looking at about 35,000 feet above the surface, basically where the jet airliners fly, but nothing going on around my area right now. So let's take a look at the satellite imagery, because that's important too. You want clear skies, and right now it looks clear, but let's go to the IR image availability from the satellite view. It goes 19, and there you can see some cirrus clouds coming in from my southwest and just beginning to encroach into my area, and that's going to be a situation that's going to cause problems in about an hour from now or less. So here we are back into the stacking. I'm up to 1,400 frames right now. You can see it's getting much cleaner as we go through the stacking at the moment. One of the nice things about this SharpCap Pro with the live stacking is that in the past I used to take either SER files or AVI files, movie files, and then stack them in AutoStacker, and then from there go into Registack. But this does that all together in one step. Basically, you don't need to do that anymore. It just takes the frames and live stacks them. And also with the effects below there, you can sharpen the wavelength and control the brightness and the color and the gamma and the brightness levels and the saturation levels all at once. So it makes it so much easier to do planetary stacking. And also, you can do this for deep sky objects as well. Now, look at this. The planet has almost drifted out of the frame, so I can go over here and move the region of interest without moving the telescope at all. And that's what I'm doing now, putting basically the planet back into the center of field of view. I have the autoguider tracking. However, I have it on sidereal tracking instead of solar tracking. With planets, you want solar tracking, so I'll get that corrected in just a moment. But there's the live or the stack view right now. There I'm playing with the controls that you see a lot of times over in AutoStacker, and also not AutoStacker, but with Registack 6. You have these controls for the wavelengths and so forth. They're right here, and you can control everything. And then when you see something you like, you just hit save to a 16-bit TIFF or to a PNG file, and you're good. So, yeah, this is really nice, stacking with SharpCap Pro. There you can see the camera connected is the Uranus C IMX 585. That's the Player 1 camera. It's doing a really good job. Pixel size 2.9 microns. Let's go into a little bit higher resolution, not resolution, but zooming, and 300%. And usually at 300%, you're really pixelating a lot. But look how clean this looks at 300% zoom. And I'm very impressed with this so far. What do we have here? Almost 2,500 stacked frames so far. You can certainly see there's the live view, there's the stack view so far. So it's coming right along. There's the live view of the planet. Bouncing around a little bit of atmospheric turbulence, and plus also I'm here at the bottom of the ocean of air. I'm only 18 feet above sea level, or 3 meters above sea level, and I guess that's 19 feet. But anyway, I'm looking through a tremendous amount of atmosphere. Plus, the planet right now is only about, what, 49 degrees, 45 degrees, 46 degrees above the horizon. So I'm looking through quite a bit of atmosphere. So it is quite turbulent. If you're higher up in elevation, you're going to get a better view of the planets and of the deep sky objects or anything. But again, I'm at the bottom of the ocean of air. And looking at the satellite imagery, those clouds are getting closer and closer to my location. So I'm on a race now. I have a pocket of clear skies right here, you can see. But these cirrus clouds are invading from the southwest, and moving into the area. Will I get up to 5,000 or 7,000 frames before these clouds get here? Well, let's wait and see. I'm hoping. I'm right between a couple areas of clouds, so I'm in a clear spot right now. Right there. There's my location. I'm clear. But clouds to the east, clouds to the west, and clouds to the south. Okay, there's the latest stacked view. I'm up to, approaching 4,000 frames. That's looking really good right there. Here I'm coming up to 5,000 frames stacked, and from that came out of a 21,000 frames taken. So 21,000 frames taken, 5,000 stacked so far. Well, I got the 5,000 frames. Hopefully I can get the 7,000 frames stacked before the clouds reach into the region. Clouds coming in. The planet is greatly dimmed now. So those cirrus clouds apparently are arriving. Well, that edge back to just to the southwest of me has caught up to my location. And there you can see the planet is getting a little bit brighter, but then back dimmer again. So the clouds are passing through. There's the stacked image. Now, so far I got over almost 8,000 frames, but I've taken over 32,000 frames to get that so far. All right, let's bail out of this and save that over there in the files. See, like in Registack 6, you can play with the gamma and the brightness and the colors and the saturation. This is like working with the wavelets. It's almost midnight, 11:50 on the time here. Local time, of course. Another nice thing about SharpCap, it tries to keep the planet center in the view of the field of region, or region of view, region of interest, and that's nice. So let's put the guiding back on the StarSense Auto Guider, and let's start tracking once again. Okay. There's the live view already. I got only less than 1,000 frames, and it's picking up pretty good. So those clouds are holding off just a little bit. The little patch of clear weather in between the clouds is moving across my region at the moment. So I might be able to get another pass here at the planet Saturn. Well, it's higher up in the sky, so this should turn out to be a little bit better image. Well, that's in theory, you would think. But it's also going to be a function of the clouds. I'm not too concerned about the winds aloft. It's not causing too much of an issue. Let's take a look at the satellite imagery once again, and let's refresh this. Yeah, they're coming in. The clouds are getting closer, actually moving across my region now. and they're getting thicker to my southwest as well. All right, let's take a look at the actual frames that I saved. Here's one of them right here. And looking at the size of the frame itself, image size, it's only 640 by 480, so not a very large picture to begin with. What I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm just going to crop away some of this unneeded area of black. And that's good right there. I'm just going to crop that off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just increase it back into a larger size. So image size, and I'm going now, I cropped it off to 321 by 224. I'm going to make it 1200. So that'll make it bigger. And Photoshop will smooth it out a little bit as well. And then over here in Photoshop, I can play with the different parameters and so forth and so on. You can actually, with the rings being almost edge on, you can still see a bit of the Cassini ring over here. Anyway, and over here too. Let's go into filter and camera raw filter. And here we can play around in Photoshop with these values here. And you can play with the contrast. And again, you can play all night and all day with these values here. But just playing around. And there. Those are your basic standards there. Let's look into the effects. That's really a nice little feature here in Photoshop. And I can go into texture. You can see bring out those bands. And then the clarity, smooth it off just a little bit. You can go crazy here, but smooth it off just a little bit. And you know, if I go all the way out of the texture, you can see, well, it doesn't look too bad. There it is. And then bringing it out. It's like playing with wavelets in Registack. Let's do it right there. Well, you can see all the bands in the atmosphere down here as well. Dehazing it. It looks good, pretty good right around there. All right, now let's close that off and go into color. And you can play with the vibrance. Right there. Saturation, you can bring it down or bring it up. Don't want to bring it up too much. And you can play with the tint. Lean toward the blue or into the yellow. Let's go in just about neutral there. And the same thing with the green. You can bring out less green. That looks fairly decent right there. All right. And you can play with the colors over here if you want. And look at the saturation. This sometimes helps bring out the details. See how the banding in the atmosphere on the lower portion here? Watch again. So I bring up the luminance and bring down the luminance. If I bring up the luminance, they disappear. If I bring it down, you can see the banding a little bit better. I'm going to keep it right about there. And let's go with the yellow and do the same thing. Yeah, the luminance and then the saturation. Something like that. And okay, let's go a little bit on details over here and go into noise reduction. Just smooth it out a little bit. And okay, let's say okay. There you have it right there. And there's the final. If you look at the history, there it was before, and there it is afterwards. Okay. All right. So that's how I do it in Photoshop, and then I save this, and there's the picture there. All right, let's just save that. Save as a copy. Now I was going to save it as a GIF or a JPEG file, and let's put it up over here where I have some other ones already saved. All right. Let's keep it at 10. All right, so there you have a picture right there of Saturn. Let's take a look at a couple of the other ones I pre-processed already, and let's open those up. And here's one. Let's see. Yeah, that's decent there. And another one I saved is here. Again, not much of a difference between that one and this one. I don't know which one is better. I kind of like this one better. What about the one we just did? Well, it's not too bad either. All right. What about the rings on Saturn? I did a composite of images that I had taken since 2018. I started photographing the planets in 2018, so that gives me, what, eight years of planetary observation. So let's take a look at those pictures, see if I can find it. All right, so here's one of the final images. I really can't get a good image of Saturn this year. You know, apparently the rings being edge on takes away some of the reflected light back onto the surface. I get a much better picture. It seems like to me when the rings are more face on than edge on. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at the images I put together, and over time since 2018 through 2025, you can see the colors kind of change a little bit as the rings become more edge on. You lose a lot of the blues and so forth with the images themselves. But there you can see how the rings have changed in the shape. Right now they're just about edge on. Where back in 2018 they were face on just about, and I think it's going to be not until 2031 before they become full face on once again. So over the next several years, we're going to see the rings get a little bit more and more face on than where they are right now. You can see last year they were just barely face on, and then back in 2023. Let me zoom in on this, see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. I can do it right here. Okay. There you can see it right there. It seems like 2023 and 2022, I had some really good images of Saturn. You can definitely see the striations in the atmosphere there. You see it in here a little bit, but it's kind of washed out, it seems like. And last year they were a little bit washed out. It's getting worse now, but as those rings are, face on, you get a lot of color with the actual surface itself. So the rings do add, in my opinion, a lot of detail to the image. Jupiter is coming up to opposition, not this year, but early January of 2026. So the stacking techniques that we saw right here apply to the other planets as well. Mars is out of the question. Mars won't be visible again until the end of 2026, basically. But Jupiter, it'll be getting brighter and brighter and higher up in the sky over the next several months. So you have all these techniques to use for the planet Jupiter, and Jupiter looks amazing through these telescopes, and Saturn looks awesome, but I think Saturn looks better when those rings are more face on than they are edge on, like they are right now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I appreciate all the patrons who have been following my page and subscribing to my page. And if you'd like to join my page, that's excellent as well. So with that being said, remember, the heavens are filled with majestic wonders, not just the planets, but everything else too. Galaxies and nebulae and comets. Comets are coming into the area right now. So unless you need rain, clear skies, everyone. And I think I'm going to get some rain very shortly.